Nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to contracts and authorizations. We have an important standard item here from the District Attorney's Office. I think Crystal and Denise are handling that. Coming up to the podium so that everybody can see and hear you, and you can be entered into the official record.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Crystal Hunt from the District Attorney's Office. I'm here to have Denise Snyder recognized as the new STOP Grant Coordinator under our STOP Grant, which is funded by PCCD. This is for the current STOP Grant, which is the 2022 to 2024 STOP Grant in the amount of $14,700. So I'm just asking that she be recognized as the current STOP Grant Coordinator.
Great. Well, we appreciate you coming, and we appreciate Denise volunteering. It's an important grant that definitely helps primarily women throughout Center County, and I know that funding is very much needed.
Yes.
Can you tell us maybe a little bit about some of the initiatives that the STOP Grant, your program is looking at this year? Do you have any?
I don't. Well, I know. I'm employed through Center Safe, so we have a good working relationship with the District Attorney's Office and also State College Police Department. And so hopefully just keeping all of that, flowing smoothly. We have the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Task Force that we meet monthly. So kind of hopefully improving that, like the attendance of that, and, having as many stakeholders in our community attend those meetings and kind of just, continue with that strong working relationship we have in our community.
We're also looking at bringing in some more training and focusing more on some human trafficking and looking at developing a protocol for human trafficking in the community.
We've had a great working relationship with the State College Police. I think some of the funding from this goes to fund their domestic violence detective, and appreciate that. So
Yeah.
keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate all you do.
Thanks. We very much appreciate the funding from the state legislature for this important program as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Any questions from the press? No? All right. Looks like we take a motion then, Steve.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve the appointment.
All right. I will second the motion to recognize the appointment of Denise Snyder as the new STOP Grant Coordinator. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you very much, Crystal, and especially Denise. Moving on to capital projects, I believe John has a change order for us.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you for consideration is a change order with Ainsworth, Inc. for the replacement of 4 condensing units and evaporators for the walk-in coolers and freezers at the new Human Services facility, the former Center Crest. Ainsworth, as you know, is the plumbing and HVAC mechanical contractor prime that is on the overall renovation project. And as we have been developing the kitchen space, we have someone that is interested in taking that spot, and we are working closely with them in designing the space, and they are asking for 2 coolers and 2 freezers. And this would renovate those 2 for that space.
Great. I believe, John, it is our plan to recover most, if not all, of the costs for this as part of the lease for the
It's
new
all,
tenant.
yes, it's baked in.
Okay.
It's baked into the lease arrangement that we're negotiating.
Great. Thanks, John. Commissioner Dershowitz, comments
I'm
or
all good.
questions?
No, I understand and
All right.
appreciate the fact we have to upgrade the facility to make sure it's ready for the new tenant.
Yep. Good, good. All right. Unless there's any questions, I think we'll take a motion.
Make the motion to approve the change order.
I will second the motion to approve the change order with Ainsworth, Inc. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. All right. Now we will move on to planning and community development. I believe Leslie's here to cover that. And I apologize. I know this was a little bit more difficult than usual, but it was for good reason.
Yes, very good reason. Good morning, again, Leslie Hosterman with CEDACOG. I'm here to discuss the county's 2024 project selection And I know when we were here in June, we had we reviewed 4 projects that were submitted by various municipalities. 2 of them actually, we determined that were not eligible or fundable through CDBG. But the other 2 included Haynes Woodward, our second year of funding for Haynes Woodward Mountain Avenue project, and the Haynes Aaronsburg Plum Street water main and street laterals. Since that meeting, we also learned that the county unfortunately was not awarded the competitive CDBG grant for Eagle Creek. In recent discussions with Mr. Salinas and Mr. Fronick, I understand that the county is interested in still pursuing the Eagle Creek project with the understanding that you would need to commit 75% or at least 75% of your 2024 allocation to that project. So I kind of want to discuss and make sure that we're on the same page as far as what that math actually looks like. So the 75% would come from your total allocation amount, and that for 2024 is $342,514. So that's before administrative costs. If you were to commit 75% of that amount, you're looking at $256,885. After administrative costs, we now have just under $25,000 to allocate toward other projects, which is not a lot. So I actually had recommended that for 2024, you put the entire allocation amount toward Eagle Creek, and then we have some other options on how to fund other projects. A couple options, again, would be to move the other projects, Haynes Woodward, Haynes Aaronsburg, to 2025, 2026 application. We conducted income surveys to determine eligibility for those projects, and those surveys are good for 5 years, so we don't have to worry about doing additional eligibility determination there. We also have some money that had been earmarked for Eagle Creek from 2021 and 2022 that my understanding is really inconsequential at this point. The memo that I last reviewed stated that the 75% must come from your most recent allocation. So we could technically revise the amounts from earlier years and use that money to fund other projects.
Leslie?
Yes.
So I just want to be crystal clear. So if we devote 75% of our allocation for this year, they're guaranteeing us the
There's no
competitive-
guarantees,
That's,
unfortunately.
I guess that's my question.
Yeah, so to be.
It's just a good faith gesture then.
Good faith gesture to make us the most competitive we can be. There were 15 applications this year, so it was heavily competitive. So my understanding from our phone call with DCED, we would need to do at least 75%.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's no guarantees, again.
So if we do, does it make us look better if we give them 100%?
Yes,
So the more we give them, the better it
the more
looks.
we give them, the better. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding.
All right. Well, I think this is an important project that we need to make sure that,
And that's what's being suggested, is that the entire 2024 allocation to us, sans administrative costs,
Correct.
would be committed to that project.
right.
All right, and for those of you at home, the Community Development Block Grant Program is a federal program that awards money to counties and medium-sized to larger municipalities throughout the United States. In Center County, sometimes it's a little difficult for us because the money can only be spent in what are called low to moderate income areas. And Center County being a middle-class county, those literally tend to move around, depending on who is moving into a neighborhood and who perhaps has recently passed away. So it's good that we can commit the funds for up to 5 years at a time. Eagle Creek is a small subdivision in the Bald Eagle Valley that is having a lot of issues with the Department of Environmental Protection due to having a very old water and sewer treatment system. Fortunately for them, they're only about a mile away from the closest sewer treatment and water treatment facility, but they don't have the money to pay for a mile of water and sewer line. So the commissioners, especially myself and the planning department, have spent a lot of time recently on this. Thanks again, Ray, for your help. to try to move this forward. So, it's a good project, as Commissioner Dershowitz mentioned. Those 33 families cannot afford the cost of a mile-long water and sewer main.
Yeah, I'm in support of it, so.
All right.
it would be-
All right, so it looks like we are in support of the staff recommendation to, I think we're talking about as much as 100%
That's right.
of the CDBG funding to go to the Eagle Creek project.
Okay. Any other questions that I can answer today?
Now, there is actually one obvious question is, if we are not successful, even with 100% allocation,
Right.
do we just carry that on to the next year and try again, or what's the strategy if we are not, do we have a strategy if that doesn't work?
That would be the strategy, to just
Yeah.
not give up. Keep
Yeah.
trying, keep pushing. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And going into 2025 and beyond, as Leslie alluded to, the survey has rendered new areas that would become eligible for consideration,
That is
correct?
correct. The new LMI data that came down from HUD just about a month ago changed the mapping quite a bit, actually. And so
Yes.
I was just talking with Mr. Salinas about doing some outreach to some other communities, maybe in the Phillipsburg area, maybe that aren't as aware of CDBG funding as they could be, and just making some outreach efforts and making sure that everybody understands that this money is available. And I'm sure there's projects that need to be.
There's an
done.
awareness factor here, I think,
Yeah.
that
Well,
could be promoting it.
I would get this one knocked out first to make sure that if we're going to give 100% allocation, that pretty much limits your
Yes.
options for other opportunities.
For this year.
No,
Yeah.
we're talking future years.
Right.
So hopefully between a combination of the county's community block grant development funds, hopefully a competitive community development block grant funding application from this grant from the state, possibly a mix of loans and other localized grants might hopefully push this Eagle Creek project across the finish line,
Yeah. We'll
because
do our best. to
we
support them.
don't need to lose 33 houses.
Right.
And you had indicated that the other allocations from 2001 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
or 2021, didn't add anything to the conversation, or does it?
No, my understanding from the most recent memo from DCED is that the 75% must come from your most recent entitlement grant. So that would be 2024. And so I don't think any additional monies prior to are really adding at this point, and that we could technically revise that and use it for other projects.
And we won't hear about the success of this project until probably next year sometime?
For the competitive funding?
Yeah.
So that application we'll be putting that in February 2025.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it would be a couple months after that.
So we can't, I guess what I'm suggesting is we can't allocate those previous funds anywhere else until we,
No, we could. We could. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I believe we had some relatively minor amounts to the tune of maybe 20,000 or something set aside for
It
the
was
project.
One was
52.
50.
52 for
52?
2021 and 54 for
All right, a
2022.
little bigger than I
Yeah, it's
thought.
100,
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
grand.
Would that require a hearing?
It wouldn't. If we used those monies or revised those monies to be used for an already approved project, it would be just a revision.
A revision.
If we're talking about a new project, then yes, it would be a modification, which requires public or citizen participation. Yeah.
And when will we be allocating the 2024 dollars? Coming
So
up
that,
very soon?
sure, that application is due November 1st of this year, and so we usually are notified of award April. It was a little later this year, but we hope for April of next year.
And the
Right,
second
so-
hearing,
We do have our final public hearing is coming up August 27th at 6 PM. So the notice will be published in the CDT for that August 16th, allowing for a 10-day public comment period.
Are there any other measures that we can employ that would make this application more successful for Eagle Creek?
From what I'm gathering, the 75%, or at least the minimum 75% allocation, and you're doing more than that, so that's probably going to make a very strong show
Lobbying
this year.
from our legislators, for instance, or
Yeah.
perhaps?
Letters of support, which
Good
we already
Letters of
have, but
support.
new ones.
I believe we did have letters from all the residents, and there was some legislative support there as well, but we will gather all those things this
Okay.
time around.
All right.
Yeah.
And we did manage to get a Zoom meeting with some people from DCED, which is
Yeah.
one reason why we're going to the 75+% allocation.
Full court press.
Full
Let's
court
get this
press.
one.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank
let's
you.
make
Okay.
sure we reach out to the Water and Sewer Authority for those 33 families and say, we're working for you. We may need a little help. You may need to look at potentially some loans to help push this across the finish line, but hopefully we use federal monies to cover a big chunk of it.
That would be ideal. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Any questions from the press on this one? No. Thankfully, we're presenting the simplified version here in the meeting. This was a lot of emails.
100% of the?
100% would be.
Did you say it was 256K?
No, it's 300.
Well, I think 342 is our whole allocation.
Right.
342 is the entitlement amount.
Then back out
The admin fees.
Yeah, there's admin in there, so the total would be approximately 281,
Okay.
264.
Which puts a big dent in it, but does not pay for a,
That's what I was gonna ask, is
yeah.
how much is the cost of the pipe? There's still other costs for the pipe.
Yeah,
So the entire project, the cost is currently about 1.8 million.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why this is pretty important.
yeah.
This 33 families will never be able to allocate that kind of resource themselves.
No. No. So county's doing what we can to help them out, because as I mentioned, we don't want 33 homes to eventually not potentially be inhabitable, because the cost of installing a new water and sewer system is substantially in excess of the cost of connecting to the next closest facility. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, great question. Gary, any other questions? No? All right. We'll take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to, I guess this is selecting the project.
Yes.
So I guess we'll approve the 2024 CDBG project, which would be the Eagle Creek
Is it Water and Sewer Authority?
Water and Sewer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I
There's
will
my motion.
I will second Steve's motion. All those in favor of approving the 2024 CDBG project, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. And now we have Chris Schnur, also from Planning, with 3 items for us.
Thank you and good morning. There are 3 memorandums of understanding that are being presented today, but before I get into those specific presentations, just want to remind everybody and the board as well, the memorandum of understanding, or MOU for short, in this case, all 3 of them are a 3-party agreement between the developer, the township, and the county, whereby the developer will agree to reimburse the township for the costs associated with the township engineers processing, reviewing, inspecting, and approving the engineering details of the plan. The board isn't approving the plan itself, the board is simply approving the contract so that the developer will reimburse the municipal engineer for the engineering component of reviewing the plan. And now to the 3 MOUs that are being presented today. The first one is the Faith Alive Fellowship Building Expansion, and that's located in Gregg Township. It's occurring on about an 8-acre tract of land and about 2/3 of a mile west of its location. There's the Penns Valley High School, and this is State Route 45, and that's the township line between Penn and Gregg. And the site that's being developed is on the south side of Route 45. And just to give a little bit more perspective of the existing development, that's the Faith Alive Fellowship Church with a shed, not municipal, it's a shed, a garage, and there's the parsonage, and then there's the existing parking and access areas. And the expansion area is going in along the western side. Now, the plan that's being prepared is by Pentair Engineering, and not to confuse you, but the north arrow is now going on the other side is now pointing down. So if we go to if we want to go to Penns Valley High School, we're going to want to go to the right
All right.
instead of the left. Actually, we're going to go to the left. This is State
That's,
Route
yeah.
45.
Right, correct.
And that's the existing church with the 8,000 square foot building addition, the existing parking, then the stormwater facility. And so that's the plan it's one of the memorandums of understanding that's being presented today. The next one, I'm sorry, I missed a slide. Shows a zoomed in version of the proposed expansion. As you can see, there's a lot of the features are existing. They are going to do a little bit more expansion of the parking area, but the expansion is occurring primarily on paved and/or gravel portions. The next memorandum of understanding is one that has already been in the news. Unfortunately, I don't have a plan to show you like I did with the previous one, as the engineering firm is still fine-tuning the actual layout for the Arby's restaurant in Benner Township. But this is occurring at the southwest corner of the intersection of Paradise Road and Benner Pike. It's not showing up yet on the aerial photographs, but the McDonald's restaurant is located just across the street from Paradise Road. They're proposing the actual size of the Arby's is approximately 3,000 square feet. Again, don't have a copy of the plan yet. They're going to be submitting it shortly. But as I said, they're still fine-tuning the details, specifically the traffic and stormwater components of the development. But they did submit the memorandum of understanding to get that in ahead of their submission of the plans. The last and final memorandum of understanding is called Zion Manor, and this is occurring out in Walker Township. It's located on Zionback Road, just to the east of the existing Deer Haven subdivision and just to the west of Walker Township's park facilities. Their municipal building is located at the corner of 64 and Zionback Road, and they have a really expansive recreational and parkland and baseball fields located on both sides of Zionback Road. And this is approximately, I believe, a 30-acre tract of land that's being developed into single-family residences. This isn't a new subdivision per se. Back in 2008, it's primarily the exact same layout as what was originally submitted in 2008. The preliminary plan got approved in 2009. The developer submitted Phase 1 in 2009 and then subsequently withdrew that. Now the developer's coming back in and wants to dust off the original plans and bring this subdivision back to life. And they're proposing a total of 75 residential lots with 3 stormwater and open space lots. Just to the right is the Walker Township Parkland, and then there's going to eventually be an interconnect to the Deer Haven subdivision with an access onto Zionback Road. And those are the 3 memorandums of understanding that are being presented today.
Now, there'll be beautiful views there at Zion Manor. Gorgeous facility. And we, of course, want to thank the township for allowing us to use their building for a polling place, one of the busier ones in the county. Commissioner Dershowitz, questions or
No,
comments?
it's pretty clear. Thank you. You were very thorough.
Yeah, thanks for covering that. Any questions from the press? No? All right. Well, hopefully this will be our 4th groundbreaking on Benner Pike here during the year. And I know when the McDonald's did the ribbon cutting, they had Grimace and the Hamburglar there. So we'll see if Arby's has any sort of mascot.
Maybe somebody in a cowboy hat.
Could be. Oh, that's right, the armadillo guy. That'd be interesting.
Well, one of the other, we have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the businesses along
Yes.
the Benner Pike for work release programs for the folks that that we have incarcerated, and hopefully that'll continue with Arby's as well, because the logistics would be absolutely wonderful for us to provide some staffing for them.
Oh, yeah, we've definitely received compliments from local employers about how productive their relationship is with the returning citizens from the Center County Correctional Facility. And we have more and more people on work release there,
And
too.
you can always get to work,
Yep,
because you can walk.
yep, and so I believe several of them are already enrolled in management training programs now at their new employers, so it's fabulous.
Yep.
All right, unless there's anything else, I think we could take a motion.
I will move to approve all 3 planning items.
We have a motion. I will second the motion. All those in favor of adding the items 2 through 5 to the next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
great day.
You're welcome. And continuing the planning, we now have item D for liquid fuels, and Coachy will cover the upcoming schedule for that.
Yes. This morning, we were considering, we want you to consider approval of the 2025 liquid fuels and fee-for-local use schedule. The schedule that we are proposing is that the Commissioners authorize solicitation of the fee-for-local use and liquid fuels program beginning Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. All notifications to each of the municipalities will be sent from our office not later than Friday, August 23rd, 2024. The deadline for submission from the municipalities to the county is Friday, October 18th, 2024, and that will be at 5 p.m. We'll ask that nothing be submitted after the 5 p.m. deadline. And then we'll begin the concurrent review process with PennDOT and the county staff between Monday, October 21st through Tuesday, November 12th of 2024. We'll make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners on Tuesday, November 26th, 2024, and allow the board to approve those at their Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. And these awards will be for the 2025 projects.
Thanks, Coachy. We do want to stress to the local municipalities, all 35 of them are eligible.
That's correct.
And you tend to have the most points if your project involves safety for the public, pedestrians, cyclists, et cetera. But we also do rotate it a little bit, and if a municipality hasn't had one in a while and they turn in a good app, we tend to look favorably on
Right.
that.
And another thing is, there are some things within the legislation that allows them to apply for equipment,
Yeah.
allows them to apply for road repair, for bridges. So we certainly encourage them to reach out to the county or PennDOT with any projects that they may be thinking about, and we can guide them through that process and help them get the application submitted so that it's eligible.
And what's our allocation?
For this year, between the funds, we're looking at about $500,000 between the liquid fuels is what I'm showing in the balance, and then the fee for local use is another $500,000. But some of that we do have in reserve for the bridge funds for the 2019 bridge replacements that will be starting next year. So we'll be giving you a better number on that as we get closer the end of the year.
But definitely a total of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, yes. And we do try to rotate the projects. We give as many as we can to a lot of different municipalities. We don't just, we encourage the municipalities to put in a match.
Yeah.
So if they have some kind of support, it also helps enable their project to move up on the list as well.
I do appreciate you moving the bridge bundle forward, Coachy. We've
Thank you.
reduced, once these projects are completed, the number of bridges in Center County that are, I don't like the term bad, I think that's the current term, structurally deficient.
Deficient. The word is deficient.
Deficient, that's
Yeah.
what I preferred, was the deficient term.
Yeah.
We'll be down to a handful of bridges that are deficient, and most of those serve just a couple of hunting cabins.
Right, and we're actually working towards getting a lot of those reserved and resolved.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thanks. Any questions from the press on that? No? All right. Let's see, the next page here, looks like we could take a motion now.
Yeah, we'll approve the 2025 fee for local use and liquid fuel schedule as presented by Coachy.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the 2025 fee for local use and liquid fuel schedule, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Great.
Thank
Thanks, Coachy. And now Carrie has accepting a grant fund
Yes.
project.
Yes, good morning. I'm requesting the board consider signing the award letter to accept grant funds from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for the Indigent Defense Grant Program funds for 2024 through 2025. Funds will support rate increases, retention and recruitment bonuses, travel and training expenses, and staff parking for the Public Defender's Office in the amount of $97,379. The grant period will run July 1st, 2024 through December 31st of 2025. So this is the first year that PCC has offered these funds, and they were, there was a lot of limitations and specific things that could be funded with these grant dollars.
And the commissioners would like to thank the state legislature for providing funding for public defense. I believe we are now the 49th state in the nation where there is state funding for either indigent defense or public defense for people who are not able to afford their own counsel. And I greatly appreciate it. Commissioner Dershowitz?
And another fun fact is, we work with the courts on a lot of different levels, but the Public Defender's Office is the one office that we actually oversee in the court and criminal justice system, so.
And it kind of makes sense because they need to be as independent as possible
Right.
from the rest of the criminal justice organizations.
But a lot of folks don't realize that they are our direct report. We are their direct report.
Yes.
Which-
Yes, and
Interesting.
Dave Crowley is the dean of the public defenders
He's-
Commonwealth-wide.
He's got some tenure there.
He does, and they do a great job. Any questions from the press on this one? No? All right, looks like we could take a motion then.
I will move to approve, accept the Indigent Defense Grant Program funding.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of accepting the Indigent Defense Grant Program funds do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
And now we have Dave with a couple items for transportation.
Good morning, thank you. I come and ask for consideration of approval of the in-kind purchase of 2 vehicles from Penn State University using our in-kind funds. The 2 vehicles will allow us to continue to upgrade the fleet and remove vehicles that have met their useful life. The total cost of the 2 vehicles is $33,275, which does include the surcharge fee that we pay. One is a 2018 Ford Fusion. It's a hybrid with somewhere around 70,000 miles, and the other one is a 2020 Chevrolet Impala with about the same type of miles on it. We've inspected them. They're both quality vehicles that will certainly help us.
Well, it's wonderful, Dave. I know there's a lot of demand for the other hybrid vehicles we have
Yes.
within the county, because you could drive all over the place for an entire day and not need to fill the tank.
Yes. Yep.
So those are very helpful.
Yeah, we've tried to obtain whatever they can offer us that
Yeah.
fits our needs, and they're trickling in. Obviously, it's getting better,
Yep.
but there was a time we couldn't get any, so
Yeah.
we're thankful to get what they have to offer, yes.
Commissioner Dershowitz, comments?
It's a great way to utilize our in-kind
Yes,
dollars with Penn State.
absolutely.
It certainly takes the burden off the taxpayer in that regard, so it helps us all, so thank you.
Most definitely.
Great. Looks like we'd take a motion then, Steve.
All right, approve the purchase of the 2 vehicles.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the in-kind purchase of 2 vehicles from Penn State University do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Dave.
much.
Moving over to adult services, Faith and Kathy are covering this? I saw the slash, so I didn't know if it was an either or a both.
It's a vote.
It's a both.
All right, good morning. Well, we're happy to present the fiscal year 24-25 Human Services Block Grant. Again, as we've previously discussed, the block grant continues to be flat funded. So the total amount from the state is $5,662,747. We also have a federal contribution of $253,310, and they always have to consider the county match of $272,730. So all of that combined supports mental health, ID, parts of drug and alcohol, and also parts of adult services. So we continue to work together as a team to make sure that all of our dollars are spent by the end of the year. Consider new projects, expansions, staffing and personnel out of our retained earnings. And as we've talked about numerous times throughout the year, because of the flat funding, we find other ways to get creative, right? So it can be from other grants, working together, continuing to break those silos. So I have Kathy here with me today just to talk a little bit about what's going on in her departments and kind of working together. But again, we'll keep trucking with the services we continue to provide the community.
Thanks, Faith. we're fortunate that the plan gives us not only the opportunity to talk about what we intend to do in the future, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about the work that we've done over the past year. The Human Services Block Grant is the plan document for our mental health department, and it gives us an opportunity to talk about all the different work that we're doing in mental health. It also talks about the work in intellectual disabilities as well as our work in drug and alcohol. We've been doing a lot of different things across all of our program areas, as well as the work in adult services, specifically in housing and supporting individuals across the lifespan. And so the plan, I believe, is on the county website in draft. We'll continue to take any comment for the plan, and then we'll be getting that submitted to the state for their approval as well. So we'll take any questions that we have now, but we'll be finishing that up and getting that submitted with the commissioner's approval.
Great, thanks. Thanks for doing the very hard work of trying to fund services in a growing county with no increase in funding for the 14th year in a row. And I'd like to thank Julia and Faith, Kathy, all the deputy department heads for continuing to work very hard to find other grant sources, to find matching money, to find ways to bill Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance companies, to stretch every one of those dollars as far as possible, because there have been a lot of cost increases from our outside suppliers, understandably so, over the last 14 years. And kind of disappointed we only got an extra $25 million for mental health care in the last state budget. But again, $25 million is better than nothing, which is what we'd received for many years before that. So thanks again for everyone in that department for their very hard work on this. And continue to be scrappy and continue to find all those other potential funding sources. And as you mentioned, we do appreciate the large amounts of flexibility that are available. I believe there's still, in the ballpark of about 20 counties that are not in the block grant version of this. They still have to go by line item?
Yeah.
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 Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well, we've had this block grant funding for over a decade now, I think. It was done at least a decade ago, and it's been very effective in moving those dollars around, and I think it's just been fantastic that, you think you know how much you're going to spend at the beginning of the year, but the mobility of those dollars to move around, it was a great idea from the state government at that time, and I think it's been very effective, so we really appreciate that. So,
It really affords us to make the changes that we need, because the changes vary from year to year.
Sure.
Where the priorities are,
and within the year.
without a doubt.
And I forgot to mention, we are asking for same-day approval just because of the commissioner's
okay.
schedule. This is due August 12th. So as Kathy already mentioned, all of our draft forms are on the website. We will be finalizing it and getting all of that prepared and available for the public. But we are still able to take public comment, and we did complete our public hearings on July 22nd and July 23rd.
I have an aside when we approve this item, Kathy, when we're.
Sure.
All right. Any questions from the press? Yes.
Yeah, I actually have a question. It's related to adult services. And since you, Commissioner Higgins, mentioned the state budget, and Kathy, you mentioned housing services, I was just hoping to get a response to the whole home repairs program not receiving funding in the state budget, and just wanting to get a sense of the county's response to that and what a potential wait list would have looked like from previous funding.
Absolutely. So what I can tell you with the whole home program is we are running it out of adult services. It has been very successful, and it's been really refreshing to be able to serve homeowners, especially from our department where we primarily work with renters. We've had the ability to help people with roofing, siding, HVAC, ramps, like things there's no way they'd ever be able to afford. In some instances, unfortunately, the $50,000 cap for each household doesn't even quite cut it, but we've been working with subrecipients like Habitat for Humanity. We also work with the Builders Association to help prioritize what makes the most sense for that house so that they can keep living there for as long as possible. So we've really enjoyed operating it. We've had about 65 households that meet eligibility criteria, and we're still working through their projects. We have the funding until 2026. We are able to provide case management, which is really nice to those that need it. As far as a wait list, we currently have an additional wait list of 85 households. So as people have reached out to our office, we've added them. We try to provide resources to them. It's very limited. And one of the things that we're about to do, since we were not refunded, or excuse me, received additional funding for whole home through the state budget, is go back through that list and try to help people connect again to other services, provide case management, see if there's some other way to alleviate costs for them and improve their life. At this time, we are going to freeze the wait list. Like, we're not going to keep adding people to it since we don't expect any sort of guaranteed funding. My hope is that as more data rolls in for whole home, that the state does see how important this is. So I can speak for adult services. When we were asked to do a monitoring recently, we only had one case that was fully completed to provide, and that's the only completed data we could give the state. But that doesn't mean we don't have 60 projects open, you know what I'm saying? So I am hopeful that as more data rolls in, we can see those outcomes, that there could be a reconsideration. But I will say it's one of the best programs I've ever been a part of. That's really made a huge impact on people's housing, especially as affordable housing is in such shortage. We need to rehab what we already go to. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's one of the best grant programs we've seen from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in at least a decade. It's flexible. It had actually enough money in there for administrative overhead to actually cover our real costs for running the program. As Faith mentioned, it's also somewhat of an affordable housing program because by definition, these are affordable homes. But if the roof caves in, if the furnace isn't operable, if the person living there is handicapped but doesn't have the ability to enter or leave their home, the house isn't that usable. And so we're able to assist up to 65 households with this. Got great partnerships with Habitat and the builders. And we'd love to see another funding tranche for this because it's been so impactful. Great question. Any other questions? All right. Well, looks like we need same-day approval on this one, Steve.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-25 Human Services Block Grant.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 24-25 Human Services Block Grant, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks, Faith.
Well,
Yeah.
one more thing.
Oh, that's right, you're on the
Kathy.
side.
Where are we overall with the impact that we're getting from the opioid settlement money? I mean, we're getting a fair amount of money from all these different settlements. How's that impacting your departments, and what's it look like for next year?
I think we're having a great impact. It's kind of hard to measure because we're doing such a diverse amount of activity. We're providing funding in the area of prevention, we're doing intervention activities, we're supporting people in treatment, we're supporting people in recovery. So it's an opportunity to really address the needs of individuals across the whole spectrum. And so we're really just getting started in a lot of ways. The trust, as we're coming out of the gate, it's been an opportunity to have the support of the trust in identifying projects that they will support, and we're confident that the funding is being used in the right way. And so it really is an opportunity to, as Faith was just describing with the Whole Home project, it's an opportunity to use funds in a way that we know are making a difference.
Right.
And supporting projects that we otherwise would not be able to do so. And so we're excited. I'd be happy to prepare a report once we get to the end of these current projects to talk about the individuals that we've supported and the successes that we've had.
I think just a general overview would be very useful. We talk about the community or the block grant being a fixed amount, but this supplements that in different ways that maybe are very productive, and just like to keep track of those opportunities, because that money is, we can only spend it in very, very distinct manner, and I think it's good to keep an idea of what we're doing and how we're doing it and what impact it's having. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy to
we'd
do
definitely like to thank the county drug and alcohol staff, all of our contractors. Commissioner Dersham is the board liaison to the HOPE initiative, which has also been very effective. I believe all overdose deaths are tragic, but here in Center County, I think we do have the lowest rate of death from overdoses in the Commonwealth, which is why on a per 100,000 resident basis, we also receive the lowest reimbursement from the
numbers are
state for this particular grant program. Commissioner Dershowitz and Concepcion and I were on a NPR interview last year about that.
Yeah.
But still, thanks again for what everybody's doing and the overall effectiveness of what we've been doing here in Center County. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Keep serving the folks.
Yes. And now Julia has, I believe, 5 items for children and youth.
Morning.
Morning.
So first I have a contract with Project Point of Light to provide counseling services. The contract total was $2,000, and it was for the very limited period of June 20th, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. The second, same Project Point of Light, but this is for the entire year. So this will cover July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The contract total is $10,000 with the county share being $2,000. The next 3 things are foster care residential services. So the first is Diversified Treatment Alternative Centers LLC to provide foster care residential services for dependent delinquent youth. Contract total is $180,000, with the county share being $36,000. The next is with Pathways Adolescent Centers. The county share being $33,000, and finally the contract renewal with Alternative Living Solutions, and the contract total is $72,000, with the county share being $14,400.
Great. Thank you, Julia. Any questions, Commissioner Dershowitz?
No, that's pretty clear. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we could go straight to a motion then.
All right, we'll make a motion to add the Children and Youth Services items 1 through 5 to the next week's consent agenda.
We have, I'll also second that motion. We have a motion, a second, to add the 5 Children and Youth Services items to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Julia. And now Kathy's back up for 3 items for the MHIDEI Drug and Alcohol Super Department.
Good morning again.
Morning.
The 3 last items that we have are for our early intervention department, and all 3 of them are contract renewals for the time period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. They're all letters of agreement, contract renewals for early intervention providers who offer occupational therapy, physical therapy, special instruction, speech pathology, and IFSP teaming to children from the time they are born through age 3. The first is with Strawberry Fields Incorporated. The second is with Bowers All About Kids. And the third is with EBN LLC. Strawberry Fields contract is for $350,000. The state portion is $315,000, and the county portion is $35,000. The Bowers All About Kids contract is for $45,000. The state portion is $40,500, and the county portion is $4,500. And EBN LLC, that contract total is $31,000. The state portion is $27,000, and the county portion is $3,100.
Great. Thanks for covering those. Kathy, any questions, Commissioner Dershowitz?
No, I'd like to make the motion to add the MHIDEI and drug and alcohol items 1, 2, and 3 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second the motion. We have a motion and a second to add the 3 items for MHIDEI, drug and alcohol, these are mostly EI items, to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thanks Kathy.
Thank you.
We have kind of a medium-length consent agenda. I don't believe there was anything wild on there.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I will second the motion. We have a motion and a second to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the check run. I'll cover the check run today. Just wanted to put in a plug for the foster families. Center County government does utilize state and local funding, I believe federal as well, to cover the cost of providing care for the foster children, but we are always short on foster parents. I believe we could easily use several dozen. So if anyone does have a big heart and would like to help raise at least one Center County child, not only are we willing to help reimburse you for your expenses, but we do have several organizations in the county that provide a lot of support, which is not always the case throughout the Commonwealth. And obviously, Children and Youth would be happy to hear from you. Unless there's any other questions, Steve, I think we can move forward with a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve the check run dated July 26th.
I will second the motion. All those in favor of approving the check run dated July 26th, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay, motion carries. John, is there administrator's report?
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, I believe we'll be skipping the voter registration report. The Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, August 6th has been canceled due to the summer's Commissioner Convention. Any executive sessions either to report or to hold, John?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right. Moving on to our public meeting schedule, we have a work session in about 7 minutes. And then on Thursday the 1st, we have a Board of Commissioners meeting and Salary Board meeting at 10 a.m. And then our next Commissioner meeting will be Tuesday, August 13th at 10 a.m. And at least on the schedule, we have an August 15th combined Board of Commissioners and Salary Board meeting at 10 a.m. Questions from the press this morning?
Steve, do you have any ballpark figures, how many inmates at the county prison are on work release, or what percentage of inmates are on?
I'd say it vacillates back
It
and forth.
varies. I believe at this point, we have something in the ballpark of exactly 100 Center County residents at the correctional facility, which is not quite an all-time low, but pretty close. We're going to tend to have about 30 of them who have been actually sentenced. And so I believe the people available for work release are those who have been sentenced. And of that number, I think the last time I saw it was 11 or 12 at the last Board of Inspectors meeting.
Plus, we also have tenant county inmates that qualify for work release as well, and I think that's a smaller number, but
Yeah.
we provide that opportunity for the
65.
tenant inmates as well. What's that?
65.
65?
Well, there's
Current.
65 tenant county inmates, but
Yes.
I believe there's,
there's
maybe
it's a
3 or
fraction of
4?
that.
It's a
Yeah,
fraction of
that
that. So-
but I believe in one case, you actually can't get work release at the county if you're staying in that county, whereas if you're in Center County, at least theoretically, you're eligible for work release if you're a tenant inmate in Center County. So on a percentage basis, we have roughly 30 people who are eligible to be on work release, and we have 11 or 12 who are working. And obviously, that's the best case scenario because our staff at the county works very hard to place people. And if you already have a job while you're at the correctional facility, it's very easy to reintegrate into the community. And as I mentioned, several of those employers have already placed the returning citizens on management trainee tracks. They're so pleased with them.
But I think, just so folks understand, the whole concept of work release is a cooperative agreement between the jail, the courts, and the district attorney's office, and I'm very pleased to say
Yes.
that they work together very well to place as many people in work release. And we have a very strong relationship with Centerpiece as well. We have a lot of trainees down there that are doing some fantastic work. So I think we've got a lot of good success stories here in Center County in regard to getting people out and back into the community. Because if they're working and they're supporting their families, that's a big step for them to be successful when they exit our facility.
So great question, Gary. It's something we're very proud of here in Center County, that such a high percentage of our eligible citizens are participating in work release. Additional questions from the press? No? All right. Looks like we can take a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I will second the motion. We will adjourn at 10:55. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay, motion carries, and we'll reconvene here in 4 or 5 minutes.